Coming next, Phil Taylor, 8 times champion here, against Wes Newton, who's been getting in a shed load of practice.
Wes Newton's a local lad. He only lives 15 minutes away from the Winter Gardens. So when we heard he'd converted his garden shed into a practice room and that Colin Osborne had taken up residency in it this week, we thought we'd better come and have a look. Hello. Hi, Colin.
Hey, all right.
Yeah,
Nice
good.
to see you.
Hi,
Hello.
Wes.
Nice to see you.
Come and tell us about your fabulous shed that we're in.
Well, the house was a bit small, certain rooms to have a board in, and I used to go to the pub for a bit to practice, but didn't quite get the privacy you need sometimes to have a good practice.
What's that, people coming up to take you on?
Yeah, and beating me, taking all my money.
No!
Yeah, so we got this cabin in the back garden for a bit of peace and a bit of privacy to practice when needed.
And how long's Colin been here?
Colin's been here since Thursday, giving me a few lessons, getting ready for next week.
Okay, that's a few days then that he's been here. Have you guys practiced together a lot before?
Not really before, only on the days of tournaments we've like warmed up together on the boards, but not really had a few days practice together like this.
And how's it been going, the pair of you?
Good for Colin, he's been winning most times, but good preparation.
Because surely you have to vary the practicing a bit, otherwise
Yeah,
doesn't it
it's
drive
like,
you mad?
You can do, yeah, but you can't just work on one aspect of your game. If you're not keeping fresh on your doubles, then
Yeah.
it probably show in your matches. Like.
So let's have a chat about your game then.
Nice easy game, nice first round.
One of these days you're going to do him though,
I hope so,
aren't
yeah.
you?
I think so. I've played him a few times recently, and I think I've been getting better each time against him. So hopefully this time it'll be my time.
Don't you generally get a really tough first round draw in all of the televised tournaments?
Yeah, I have been doing for the last year, but I suppose if you're in these tournaments to win them, I mean, there's no hiding place really. You've got to beat the best to be the best, haven't you? So.
Yeah, good attitude to have. And of course, we remember you were the poor fella stood on stage when Phil did his 9-dart finish at Bolton, brought the house down again.
Yeah, that was nice. I think he did the 9-dart, he went 7-5 up, and he walked off for a break, and there was about 300 people behind me shouting, easy, easy.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was quite enjoyable.
And it was your debut here this time last year, and I remember having a little chat with you, and you said that really everybody wants to win the World Championships, but for you, being a local lad, kind of this is really what you would love.
This is with being local, I've been watching this tournament for years going down, and the worst bit was when I started doing the circuit and wanting to be there. And last year, I think it was just the old excitement of being there eventually. So this year will be different, I hope.
Yeah.
Can relax and enjoy my game.
Well, Wes, thank you ever so much for showing us around your rather impressive shed. And I hope all of this practice with Colin has stood you in good stead for your match later on.
I hope so.
All the very best.
Thank you, Helen.
Thanks very much. And who knows, Colin, we may be back to talk to you. Not if you keep dropping your darts on the floor, we won't. We may be back to talk to you. Gentlemen, I'll leave you to get on to it. Have some more practice.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
See ya.
Time to meet the players. From Fleetwood, it's Abbott Wes Newton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 8 times World Matchplay champion and 13 times champion of the world, it's Phil, the Power Taylor.
Power Taylor tonight. Loser of the World Championship, loser of the UK Open, and loser in Las Vegas. This is the tournament he's made his own over the years. That's the stage he feels he owns. Can he be victorious in Blackpool this week? Dave Lanning and Sid Waddell.
Well, it was the great John Lennon who sang, "I'm a loser." Well, we'll see how long the power is a loser, Dave Lanning. Dave has given us the litany of the power fusing. He's been practicing hard. He won the Bobby Bourne Memorial Tournament at the weekend. I suggest we might see a performance from Philip.
Yes, of a night of 1,000 stars in this first round. Now we have the Thermidor sauce on the lobster. Phil Taylor still the man who can send a frisson of excitement through the crowd. Whereas Newton there, the outsider, 125 to 1 he's quoted for the championship. Here are his stats, 29 years old. Abbott is not Abbott tonight. Fleetwood just up the North Prom, 22-gram unicorn. Never got beyond the first round, and he's got Phil Taylor. And Taylor tonight, unquestionably, is a man with a mission.
Absolutely, and for Wes, from the Fleetwood town of Fishermen, it will be like trying to use a garden worm on a pin to pull in Moby Dick.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg, Wes to Crawford. Very best of order, please. Game on.
And Taylor did win the right to throw first, but using his normal psychological ploy in match play, has given the darts to Wes Newton. Now, if he goes according to form of the past, he'll come roaring in here, win the first leg against the throw, win the second, and then ease away. That's the tactics. But Taylor, we have seen, and those darts are interesting, Sid, because
100.
we saw in Las Vegas right from the first dart, he got the angle of the dangle wrong. Those were much straighter.
Absolutely right. He was landing the marker dart at the 60. He's half an inch below the
43.
target. And isn't darts lovely? It'll never change its roots. Tiger Woods practices in a mansion. Other famous footballers practice in £1,000,000 complexes. Taylor practices in a buzzer called the Skylark. And Wes practices in his shed up the lanky coast. What a game! Sticks to its roots.
Yes, I suppose somebody more pretentious
96.
than Wesley Newton would call it a chalet, but he said it's my garden shed. Anyway, Taylor is shedding his concerns here, and starting with a 180, coming out for treble 19.
In previous encounters, does it classic go 5-4-0 to Taylor against this lad? World Grand Prix 2-0 and sets at Taylor against this lad. And of course the UK
92.
Open, where Taylor didn't play well, just at 9 dart against this lad and beat him 11-5. So it should be Taylor. But as Dave Lanning put it so precisely, as Taylor watches, and we are Legion, even Farris didn't have more Legionnaires than us, are looking
60.
for how accurate Taylor is on that 60 early doors.
170.
Not a particularly convincing leg thus far from Phil Taylor, it has to be said, and if Newton can crack out this 170, and he wants the ball, what a start this would be, and it's not that far away. That was a real worry for Phil Taylor, and Taylor still has a lot to do here, sit on 117.
They've shook the shed, as well as nearly 2,000 people here in the Winter Gardens, Blackpool, live. Taylor. Now, that's in the wrong treble. So where's 2 darter now? They get the early drop on the power deal.
Where's he required? 35.
To win the first leg, and that's not the game plan according to Phil Taylor. Double 16. First leg to Newton. Taylor can but